Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer here on a Monday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos, locked and loaded for a couple of hours after a couple of days off at the end of last week. But glad to be back in business. It was a tough weekend for the Tigers. We're going to talk about that for the entire first hour. Saints and Bucs, obviously, tonight. The transfer portal is absolutely obscene right now. We will get into a little bit of that, some draft declarations, as well as the college football world. It kind of flipped on its head here. In this span of a month and change, I guess, with the new transfer portal and the way that's going to work. I'll just throw it out there. 6 ACC starting quarterbacks have already announced they're leaving. Not quarterbacks, period. 6 starting quarterbacks in that conference have already decided that they are out of here. So we'll talk about Joe Burrow and his performance yesterday. We'll do that in the second hour. A brief touch on LSU basketball's game on Friday in the second hour as well. But for the first hour and change of this show, we're going to talk about the Southeastern Conference Championship game in Atlanta. You watched it. 50-30 was the final. And I'm going to start big picture with it because I think that's the main takeaway. Clearly, there was a difference in the two teams on Saturday. But I think what you really saw was a difference in two programs. You saw one program that is on the firmest footing, I don't know if that's a word, the best footing in all of college football right now. They have won 31 of their last 32 games. They did not have a single player come in from the transfer portal. They're not having a bunch of guys defect and leave. They are as well-oiled a machine as there is in college football right now, and LSU is not. You've now probably heard the statistics on the defensive line. Charlie talked about them. Jacobs talked about them. We did it pre-game, post-game. If you were listening to anything on Saturday or cranked that up on Sunday, you know that B.J. Ojulari played every snap in this game. Mekhi Wingo, I think, sat 3 snaps. Georgia was doing shift changes. It looked like a hockey game, bringing in different 5-star linemen. They've got experience. They've got depth. They've got talent. They've got these things to a much higher degree than LSU. That's just a fact. And it sucks to have to sit here and have that conversation. But the fact of the matter is that since the offseason entering the 2020 season, LSU, the program deteriorated from the level that it was. And now it is where it is. And this year, we have had so many discussions about, well, they're not there and they got to get this better and Brian Kelly's working towards this. And, well, they made some improvements and, oh, that's a nice win. But, and it's been up and down and there's an ascent that's going. And my sincere hope is that this game against Georgia is really the last time we have to have that type of discussion. There will be plenty of games moving forward in the Brian Kelly era where they lose. Hopefully it's not because one program is just significantly better than where LSU is. Because there's not a program in college football that has so much advantage over LSU that LSU just shouldn't realistically think that they could be on that level. There's not one. There's not one in Columbus, Ohio. There's not one in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. There's not one in Athens, Georgia. Now, LSU slipped, and they've got to work to get back there. But hopefully, because of today, because of the fact that the transfer portal is what it is, and it's free agency, and you can plug holes with veteran players with talent, and because of the recruiting advantages that LSU has, that Brian Kelly and his staff can now enter their first full signing class as the staff at LSU. You can turn this thing over so quickly that we should not have to have this discussion. It was unrealistic for Brian Kelly to take the job at the beginning of December of 2021 and have his team at the same level and his program at the same level as Georgia 12 months later. That was not realistic. Everyone knew that. As this time next year, you ought to be pretty close. Close enough to where we don't have to sit here and go, yeah, They're just not there. It's a rebuild. I was perfectly happy to have that conversation this season. I picked them 7-5. Said, I don't see the pros. Now, we know a lot more than we did in August when I made these comments, but I didn't see pros at linebacker. Well, Baskerville played pretty well, and Harold Perkins is a pro. I didn't know if there were pros at DB. Bernard Converse had a pretty good year. Garner had a pretty good year. But they didn't look like Claiborne or Peterson or Matthew or Stingley. But you get the point. I didn't see pros at running back. Still don't. Didn't see pros at quarterback. Maybe there are. Offensive line, I didn't see pros. Well, Will Campbell and Emory Jones got off to a pretty good start. But the program took such a hit, got to such a place, that where Saturday was essentially inevitable. But hopefully you can turn the page on that 50-30 and go, okay, now LSU, with the transfer portal in this day and age, with NIL and with the ability to go recruit the way LSU can, they ought to turn this thing over pretty quick. And I don't want to have a discussion like this again. But you have to in this game. And because the program is where it is, you are going to have to catch breaks in this game. I gave my keys to the game on the pregame show on the network on Saturday. I said, look, this is cliche. This would seem lazy, but really it is. It is the key. They're going to have to get some turnovers and have some huge plays go their way. And instead, you drove down, got a field goal blocked, and nobody knew the rules, and they picked it up and ran in for a touchdown, and you had an interception bounce off a guy's helmet, and they scored a touchdown on the next play. The breaks you had to get in this game to compete on that level, you didn't. And that's why it got out of hand. And LSU did, to their credit, fight back. And Brian Kelly spoke to his team about that afterward. And they did fight in the second half. But quite frankly, if I'm just being honest, I don't really want to have the discussion that, yeah, we fought after you lose by 20 points. I don't want LSU to be in that spot. I want the other team to say that they fought and scrapped and played really hard and won. And kept it close with LSU. That's what I want it to be. And that's really what the only real huge positive you could draw off this game. Well, they played hard. They fought. Same thing we had to say after they came off the field in the Texas Bowl last year with the receiver playing quarterback. Well, they fought. The teams that say, well, they fought, probably aren't a very good football program. Just realistic. And that's really my takeaway from the game as a whole. I just thought that LSU was outmanned, outmatched. You could see it. And look, in this game, you could see this coming. There was nothing that I could point to in College Station throughout the season that would have indicated that A&M would run it down LSU's throat and hit big plays through the air, and LSU wouldn't be able to get up off the mat in the second half. Like, there was nothing had happened to that point that would indicate that. You could look all year long at what Georgia did and what LSU was and say, hey, this looks like a bit of a mismatch. Vegas had it 17.5. So this one was very predictable. I think there's a reason why a lot of LSU fans saw the result in College Station Thanksgiving weekend and went, maybe not gonna hit the road and go to Atlanta. Because you could kind of see the writing on the wall here. And LSU came out and threw that first punch, but when it went south, there was just nothing that you could do. And Georgia just proved it's the bully, it's the big bad dude in the league right now, and LSU's not there. So if you're Brian Kelly, I think you did the right thing talking to your team, saying, hey, you guys fought hard, you made yourselves proud, we're laying the foundation here. That's all well and good. And you had to lay the foundation in year one. And that's why I think it's such a great accomplishment that they won the West. It's such a great accomplishment they played in the SEC championship game, and they didn't have the horses to go win it. And I just don't want that to be the case moving forward. And I think it's realistic to ratchet those expectations up a little bit more as you move forward. I was so curious as to what last summer would look like, this past summer. What July and August would be like in this chair. And dealing with people on Twitter and the Bayou Ford chat and talking with people around town and just doing this show and doing this job and being in this town and being surrounded by this football program, because every single August you talk yourself into this being a great team. Come off the COVID year where you think, yeah, they got 2 new coordinators, and the team's much more on the same page, and there's a buy-in. It fractured last year. You got some great leadership. I think they're going to turn it around. That's just the nature of August. And it never really clicked in this town. And that's, I think, a realistic thing, not a negative thing. It ought to click in August. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is going to be. I hope it's Matt House, but we still got some time to cycle through some things. I don't know who's going to be on the team, who's going to transfer in, who's going to transfer out. What's the recruiting class look like? I don't know any of that stuff. But it ought to be in a situation in this day and age where things click. So we're going to talk about the game moving forward here for the next 45 minutes or so. I wanted to talk big picture in the first segment because the point being Georgia just outclassed LSU. Bigger, faster, stronger, deeper, all of it. So what did it actually look like on the field? We'll get to that coming up. I want to remind you the opening hour each and every Monday brought to you by the Shed Barbecue. Same delicious barbecue you've gotten for years over in Ocean Springs. You're hitting I-10, headed eastbound. You stop off at Ocean Springs or maybe on the way back home if you were headed to the beach. That delicious barbecue, the Shed, we got it right here in Baton Rouge on Burbank. They got your ribs. They got your brisket. It is fantastic. They got your pulled pork. They can put it on a sandwich for you. And personally, it's not something I usually get at a barbecue restaurant, but their turkey over at the Shed, phenomenal. If you're looking a little leaner, you can go with the turkey option. It's fantastic, but I would also advise to go with the macaroni and cheese because it's great. Their potato salad is to die for as well. Great indoor seating area, tons of outdoor seating area. Looking for a place to go watch the Saints tonight? Maybe need a beverage during that Saints game because most of the time watching the Saints team you do. The Shed is an awesome place to watch games and get some delicious food. If you're looking for a lunch spot, Burbank, right there. They can get you in and out real quick over there at the Shed Barbecue. And they bring you the opening hour each and every Monday here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll come back, talk about something that I was shocked to see on Saturday. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
One of the things I love about betting on the NFL is that I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's cool about the FanDuel Sportsbook, you can combine those props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. Perfect for tonight's game. You know the Saints are playing. They're playing the Bucs. Tom Brady can't handle the Saints defense. Bet the under on his passing yards. Saints probably got to get Kamara going. Bet the over on his rushing yards or pick him to be an anytime touchdown scorer. The app is so easy to use. You can live bet during the games. Look, if you think the Saints stink, you want to put the bet on the Bucs money line, I'm not going to be mad at you. Fire away. Best part is when you win, you get paid fast. There's no feeling quite like nailing a same-game parlay bet, so lock in your bet today on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up today with the promo code 1045ESPN for your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, no withdrawable free bet. Expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply to sportsbook.fanduel.com. You're somebody who knows a gambling problem. What's up? Call 1-877-770-STOP.
Professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
All right, let's say ah.
It's the Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour here brought to you by the Shed Barbecue. It is a Monday here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hunt Palmer with you here until 3 o'clock. Talking LSU and Georgia from over the weekend. I think I've said a lot of times, we've had some tongue-in-cheek picks on Fridays over the last month because we were so bad at picking winners that we started picking against LSU and they started winning. So our true feelings on the game may have been compromised a little bit in those pick segments because we were just trying to play to a bid a little bit. But if you've listened to the show, I think you realize that I've had a tough time fully trusting this LSU team, even though they've done some really good things. They won at Auburn and Florida in the same year for the first time in school history. They beat Alabama in a fair fight. They won the West. They had gotten to 6-1 in the league, and I still never quite trusted them like I have championship teams at LSU in the past. And there are reasons for that. There's just not one thing with this LSU team that I've felt all year you could definitely hang your hat on. Follow me here. Like, the offense in the first half against Florida State, certainly passing the ball was terrible. They didn't run the ball very well either outside of Daniels running around. They were awful in the first half offensively against Mississippi State. It just looked really, really poor. They have had trouble establishing a running game, specifically getting short yardage plays against Tennessee. Remember, they tried to get those 4th and 1s, and they couldn't run the ball forward, and they couldn't hang their hat on that either. They were bad getting off to bad starts. Tough start at Auburn, where you look totally discombobulated. You've won 2 SEC games this year, by the way, throwing for less than 100 yards. Arkansas and Auburn. Your running game's been a little bit of an issue. And even though I've harped on this a million times, you really have done a good job in a lot of games stopping the run, but Ole Miss got loose on you early in the game. You didn't stop the run well there. Tennessee ran it on you. Gibbs ran for 100. Then all of a sudden, Devon Achane goes nuts for 220 yards. And then you go to the secondary this past week against Georgia. Look, this is a Georgia team that was throwing for like 130 yards per game against Kentucky and Georgia Tech. They were really struggling to get the ball moving through the air. All of a sudden, in the first half of that game, just the first half, Stetson Bennett goes 19 of 24 for 214 yards and 4 touchdowns. LSU was not covering anyone. They weren't covering Bowers. They weren't covering Washington. They weren't covering McConkey. These guys were wide open. They were running in-breaking routes 30 yards down the field. There's nobody there. Brock Bowers on that little goal line play. Sage Ryan's not can't run him down. Bowers is All-American. I get it. Bennett may win 2 national championships. I got you. McConkey's all-league type player. But LSU's done some decent cover work this year. They slowed Alabama down. Mississippi State couldn't do anything in the second half. They've thrown it pretty well this year. And Georgia's had its issues where it struggled throwing the ball. And it was just a clinic. Boom, boom, boom. First down, third down, whatever. Right down. 4 touchdown passes in the first half. They had 2 in the last 2 weeks total. And they just weren't in position. And then in the second half alone, I just gave you the first half on the passing defense. In the second half alone, Georgia ran it 31 times for 188 yards and 6 yards per carry. Just same thing you saw against A&M. So while there's a part of me that goes, man, tons of credit to this coaching staff and to this team for figuring out and getting some wins, you still look back and go, man, what are they really good at? And maybe they were good on defense. Pitching a second half shutout against Auburn. Pitching a second half shutout against Mississippi State. Pitching a second half shutout against Ole Miss. Doing what you need to do to get a couple of stops against Florida State. Getting some stops against Alabama. And maybe, as Charlie has hinted on in his postgame and in the last show, maybe they were tired. I get it. Georgia's running hockey shifts in there, and Mekhi Wingo played all but 3 snaps. Ojulari was out there for every snap. Maybe they're tired. That makes sense. It's a long season. It's a lot of plays against a physical team. But there's just not an area of this team that I look at, and at the end you could hang your hat on. And I think that's why they never fully captured my confidence. And unfortunately, as you look at this season as a whole, as I hinted at prior to the A&M game, man, if you lose that one, 9-5 staring you right in the face. And it kind of is. So I'd rather call them the SEC West champions in first year of the Kelly era and leave it at that. But 5 losses is 5 losses if you can't go beat Purdue. Now, I don't know who's going to be coaching Purdue. I don't know who's going to be playing for Purdue. I don't know who's going to be playing for LSU. So these bowl games are a total crapshoot with this era of the transfer portal and coaching changes and all that kind of stuff taking place when it does. But, again, kind of the point, just nothing to really hang your hat on for this team. Now, we did say that we thought LSU would need to throw the football. And they did. They came out throwing because Georgia can make you totally one-dimensional, which they did. Josh Williams had a 47-yard run, and LSU ran for 47 yards. So, not great. But they did assert themselves through the air. And not all of that was in garbage time. Far from it. And it was both quarterbacks. And I thought you had your playmakers making plays, and they proved that they are as good a wide receiver group as there is in college football, I think. As far as talent goes, they haven't had that production. As I mentioned, they played 2 games this year where they didn't throw for 100 yards. It makes you wonder how that happens. When you've got a guy that can make the plays that 7 can make, that 8 can make, that 11 can make, how could you go out there in multiple occasions and just not be able to throw the football? That is puzzling to me, for sure. But I guess in totality, as we talk about not having one specific thing that you're really good at, you also didn't have anything that you could not do, and most of the facets of your team did show up at one point or another. You really ran the ball like crazy in the second half of that Mississippi State game. You ran the ball well against Arkansas. You got the passing game going against Florida. Got the passing game going in this game. You threw it pretty well against Bama for some big plays. So it was just that weird deal where you were just pretty good at everything or okay at everything. You weren't elite at anything, and you weren't just an absolute disaster at any specific thing. Oh, yeah, there was one. There was one thing that you were an absolute disaster in. We will talk about that as well as the quarterback competition when we come back. The opening hour brought to you by The Shed. Shed Barbecue right there on Burbank. If you're looking for a late lunch spot, swing on in there. If you're looking for a place to watch the Saints, awesome place to watch games. The Shed Barbecue on Burbank, bringing you the opening hour each and every Monday here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
I had a conversation with my wife yesterday. She's going, we really need to do something with our bathroom. And obviously, it's not a great time to move right now. So if you're looking to improve your living situation, and you got to do it in your current home, One Bath and Closets is your stop. David Duvall and his team been in this business for 3 decades. Their website is onebathandclosets.com. You can see their work right there. You can see some testimonials as well. How good could your bathroom look if you take out that old tub that you don't use anymore? I use mine because we got an 11-month-old, but you may not use that tub. What if you just took it out and put in a gorgeous walk-in shower? Glass, it'll look great, and it's not that invasive. Doesn't take that long. Tub to shower conversion is one of the things they can do. And as far as closets go, man, some of the closets are a mess. Mine is a mess. Let David Duvall and his team come in there and help you with your closet. Whether it's knocking out a wall, they're a licensed contractor, they can do it and improve it that way. Or maybe you've got the space, you just don't know how to use it. Let David Duvall and his team come in there and do it. If you say that we sent you here at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, that we sent you over to do that, to get that closet consultation, 30% off the project. 30% off. Pretty nice gig. It's One Bath and Closets, the website, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. Let's go, defense! We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
It's the Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We'll talk about the quarterbacks here in a second, but I did tease the one thing that LSU was really bad at, and you know what it is. Not exactly a huge surprise, but they were just atrocious on special teams all year. And I've said my piece on that a lot. I simply am not going to blame coaching when you muff a punt or you muff a kickoff or you go offsides on a kickoff. I'm not even going to blame coaching when you have a block in the back or a holding. These things are obvious. I don't think every player on LSU's team and the 11 that they sent out there on special teams are unaware because of lack of coaching that you can't grab guys and hold them, that you can't hit guys in the back. They just do it. Things are moving fast. Players make big mistakes. And I think that LSU put some pretty sure-handed guys back there to catch kicks, and they dropped them. I don't think that's coaching at all. I think that's guys not doing a very good job. But when you look at it in totality, it is brutal. And I cannot let you off the hook when you've got 11 football players out there that don't know the rules. Especially when you've already had high-profile kicks blocked. And in this case, you got a kick blocked, and your team didn't know the rules. Now, there are plenty of guys on Georgia's team that didn't know the rules either. And you look at the offensive coordinator up there that was on TV that was telling his guys to get away from it, get away from it, get away from it. I don't think that's because he didn't know the rules. I think that's because if you're a defensive player, a blocking team player, and the ball stays on your side of the line of scrimmage, the only way that the kicking team can get possession back is if you touch it. If you just leave it there, they can't. So there's merit in not touching it. But if there's nobody around you and you can pick it up and go, and the other team doesn't know the rules, then that's a good play. And LSU simply cannot have 11 guys out there that don't know the rules. That can't happen. That's not like muffing a punt. That's not like going offsides on a kickoff. And they got that kick blocked, and they almost got another one blocked by a fingernail on the one that Ramos actually made. That's unacceptable. You cannot have that. And you kicked the ball out of bounds 5 times this year. Only 3 teams in the nation kicked it out of bounds more. Only 12 teams out of 131 allowed more long punt returns of 20 yards or more than LSU. Only 12 teams allowed more. Only 11 of the 131 allowed more long kickoff returns of 40-plus yards. LSU did not have a kickoff return of 40 yards. For the entire season, LSU had 41 yards of punt return yardage. For the year. And they averaged 19.6 yards per punt return, which is not very good. I mean, it was just awful. From awful errors that they made that cost you a game, maybe games, but a game, to just routinely being bad at everything else. So it's very, very common. Fire the coach, fire the coach, fire the coach. Look, Brian Polian did a good job coaching special teams at Notre Dame. His unit was awful this past year. I can't tell you what he coached him at Notre Dame, and I can't tell you what he coached him at LSU. I'm not totally willing to blow it all off because LSU didn't have a ton of scholarships and didn't have as many guys as you would have that would devote more time to special teams. It's a reasonable opinion, but how many guys do you need that can figure out to play special teams? Go tackle somebody, block, kick, catch the ball. I think we can handle that with the guys they've got out there. And so that, to me, it was just a terrible effort all year. But Brian Polian's also the recruiting coordinator, and he's the first guy that Brian Kelly brought in. So there's a little bit more to this equation than that was an atrocious effort, you're gone. He's got more hats to wear in that facility. Now, if you tell me he got shifted to be the tight ends coach or something and they brought in somebody else for special teams, I wouldn't bat an eye at that. But it's not as easy as walking down the hall like Jimbo did with his offensive coordinator and saying, hey, that was awful, you're gone. Brian Polian is a valued member of that staff to Brian Kelly, and I think was part of a pretty impressive effort in the transfer portal and in the recruiting class last year, and has been a very good football coach at this level at Notre Dame. So before we just fire the coach, there are a little bit more that goes into it than that. So I would not be shocked at all if Brian Polian was on this staff moving forward, and I think that'd be fine. They have got to do a better job on special teams. That was such a massive gaffe, and there's nothing you could do to explain that one away to me. You got to have 11 guys out there that know the rules. There are only so many outcomes that can go on a field goal play. We got to know them all, and we got to be there so that we don't have a game-changing play like that. All right, let's go to quarterbacks now. Obviously, that's been a hot topic since the game on Saturday. I thought that Jaden Daniels gutted it out and gave it everything he had. I thought he was really good in the first half. We said all week last week, if LSU's going to win this game, you got to throw the football. You can't sit back there and play patty cake. You can't try to run your way to winning against this Georgia team. You got to get rid of it and let these guys try to go make some plays. And Jaden Daniels did that. He got the ball out quickly. He threw the ball down the field, and LSU made some plays in the passing game because they've got really good wide receivers. Jaden finished the game 16 of 24 for 208 yards and a half. And the pick he threw was a fluke. He protected the ball. He got rid of the ball. He made some plays, took some shots. I thought he did a good job on one leg. He was hobbled and toughing it out. And I thought Brian Kelly made the right call. Say, hey, we appreciate it. You grinded it. We're going to go to the next guy. And Garrett Nussmeier, he was exactly what we've said he was since we laid eyes on him in the spring a year and a half ago. He's not scared. He's talented. And he's probably going to make some plays and mess up. And he made some plays and messed up. Now, I will put in, I think there is an element to it that was a little bit of garbage time. Now, LSU got down there before that 4th and 1 when they got stopped and had a chance to get right in the game. But there's an element that was a little bit of garbage time, but there's also an element of this, that's the best defense in the country. So I think when you weigh those two things, it equals. It actually probably lends more towards best defense in the country for some of the mistakes that he may have made. But he goes 15 of 27 for 294, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and showed that arm strength, showed the arm talent, takes the big deep shot to Malik Neighbors. He's just going to go. He's going to sling it. And I thought he did a really good job and showed what he can be. Jaden Daniels is never going to have quite the arm strength of Garrett Nussmeier. He can develop to read defenses and to make plays down the field. He's done it at times, just not as consistently as you would like for a guy who's played that much football. Garrett Nussmeier's got more arm talent, but he's never going to be able to run like Jaden Daniels could and can. So the ceiling is higher with Daniels. Now, personally, I enjoy a quarterback who's going to go through progressions and make throws more than a guy who's going to try to lean on his legs and run a little bit. I think that is a characteristic that will win at a higher level than having great wheels. I think if you put the fastest guy on a high school field, all of a sudden that becomes a little bit more important. But you start to play at the elite level of college football, you got to win throwing the football down the field. You got to win from the pocket more often than not. You can run, sure. But you got to win from the pocket more often. And I think Garrett's ceiling there is a little bit higher. And I thought he looked really good for the most part. Now, keep in mind, we are in an era here where in the SEC last year, we'll just go back to last year. Zach Calzado was a starting quarterback at A&M. No, because of injury, but he was a starting quarterback. He left. Max Johnson was a starting quarterback at LSU. He left. Bo Nix was a starting quarterback at Auburn. He left. This was happening all over the league. Connor Bazelak, starting quarterback for Missouri for 2 years. He left. And I just told you at the top of the show that 6 ACC starting quarterbacks have transferred out, or announced they're in the transfer portal. Devin Leary at NC State. Keaton Slovis at Pitt. DJ Uiagalelei. These are starting quarterbacks that have transferred out. So it's a very volatile time to talk about next year's quarterback at LSU. I can give you my thoughts on these two guys, and they're in different situations. Jaden Daniels can come back and compete for the starting job. He could move on to the NFL and take his chance there. Garrett Nussmeier may look at Jaden Daniels coming back, say, hey, I played really well in that game. I'm going to compete with this guy and stick around. He may decide Jaden's coming back. He's going to be the starter. I'm out of here. He may decide Jaden's leaving for the NFL and I'm out of here. How are you supposed to know? But he put some good things on tape on Saturday, and we'll see what this bowl game looks like. Brian Kelly was on with the media yesterday and said, look, Jaden's going to need 10 days to 2 weeks here before he can practice. So we'll give Garrett some reps, and he needs to rest because that ankle injury is significant. We get that. But I don't know who's going to play against Purdue. Last year, your starting quarterback left before the bowl game. So, like, I haven't spoken to these guys. I don't have any inside sources I can go to there. Like, I don't know what the future is. But it certainly was encouraging to me to see both of those guys against a really good defense stand in there and throw the football successfully. They threw for 502 yards. That's impressive. And I don't think that you can just throw it all into garbage time because that's not the way that it went. When you look at the first half for Jaden, he threw it for 211 yards, 16-26. And then Nuss came in there and took the momentum of the game over. And that was good to see because his game against Arkansas last year, while it wasn't ideal circumstances, they gave Max the first drive, and then they threw him in there and said, well, we're just going to ride it out with you. And that's just a tough spot to be in. And this is a tough spot to be in. But he probably had an inkling he was going to be able to go in the game because Jaden was hurt all week long. So I think moving forward this month, we'll have some discussions. We'll see. The transfer portal's open. Either one, I mean, somebody can go in the transfer portal in the next 5 minutes, and that will change our talking points totally. But it was good to see Garrett Nussmeier get in there and throw the football around. It gives you some hope that potentially if Jaden Daniels decides to move on, Garrett could be a leader of this football team. And he's tough as nails. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's got a great arm. Now, he's fearless, and you saw that, and he forced it a couple times. And even the touchdown he threw to Neighbors on his first touchdown was right over the hands of an outstretched defender that may have picked it off. But the more reps you get and you understand those windows, maybe you tighten things up. He looked like a guy that would throw 12 to 15 interceptions on Saturday, but again, you have to throw it on every play, and that defense is really good. So I thought it was enjoyable to watch him play, and I think LSU is in a pretty good spot as far as quarterbacks go. Again, they could both leave, and then you're left with Walker and whatever you can grab with Ricky Collins in the transfer portal, and there are a million quarterbacks in the transfer portal. It's just an odd, interesting time, but I thought Nussmeier played well, and that's a takeaway that I want to have. Last thing that we'll close the hour with. There was a decision made in the second half of that game that is going to linger with me. I'll tell you what that is next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. And all December long, we are pumped to tell you about Mimosa Handcrafted. Mimosa Handcrafted creates Louisiana local handcrafted jewelry designed to foster connection and generosity. Madeline Ellis is the founder of Mimosa Handcrafted. She's actually a landscape architect by training, but she had a lifelong love for making jewelry, and it became a full-time job from a hobby. And she's a Louisiana native. Madeline's always found solace in the inspiration and spirit of connection and beauty of the land surrounding her. And look, she's done such a great thing with Mimosa Handcrafted. They donate 1% of every sale through Goods for Good campaign that allows customers to select from a list of charitable causes such as the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank or the Mental Health Association for Greater Baton Rouge. So We're so pumped all December long to tell you about Madeline and Mimosa Handcrafted. They are this month's champion of Louisiana. LWCC, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. If you know of a champion, nonprofit, entity, a person that's doing great work in our great state, go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate someone so we can tell their story right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour brought to you by the Shed Barbecue. Looking for a place to watch the black and gold tonight? Shed's an awesome spot. Got great drinks, awesome food, tons of seating area, TVs everywhere, indoor and outdoor seating area. We're down here in the south, so you can do some outdoor seating in December, and it's actually quite nice. So check out the Shed. They've got great ribs. They've got phenomenal brisket. Make you a sandwich there with that pulled pork. Tremendous sides, mac and cheese, greens, as well as the potato salad, which is awesome. They're right there on Burbank, between Traction and Campus. Looking for catering for a holiday party? Check out the Shed. They can help you out with all that, and they have wonderful barbecue. Same delicious barbecue you've gotten in Ocean Springs over the years when you're on the road. Now it's right here in Baton Rouge. They bring you the opening hour each and every Monday here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If I were to ask you, Joe LSU fan, how do you feel about Alabama? You would probably say, well, I hate them. If you were to ask Joe LSU fan, how do you feel about Ole Miss. Yeah, I hate them. How do you feel about A&M? Oh, I hate them. And that's the West, so you get that. But how would you feel? I said, how do you feel about Florida? I hate them. That transcends over to the East. And for years, like, how do you feel about Georgia? I don't really care. That's how most LSU fans would feel. There may be something here or there, or family member or something that makes you not like Georgia or actually love Georgia, whatever. But LSU fans have been largely indifferent about Georgia. And I would put myself in that number. I loved the town of Athens, had a blast there in my college years. But something that happened on Saturday has made me change my tune a little bit. It's not to the degree of A&M or Alabama or even Ole Miss or any. But it irritated me. With 13 minutes and 13 seconds to play in the SEC championship game, Kirby Smart made the decision to go for 2 after a touchdown. They were up 48-23, and they decided to go for 2 to get to 50. They were up 25, could have gone up 26. They ended up going up 27. And if you want to try to convince me that that's getting to 27 means that 3 touchdowns and 3 extra points and 2 field goals only ties you, I will tell you that I don't really care about that. 4 possessions. He did it to score 50. Now, I'm in a lot of situations you're in charge, you make the plays, you do what you need to do. I'm okay with batters flipping bats in the air. I'm okay with pitchers strutting off the mound. If you want to talk a little trash after hitting a big 3 or dunking on somebody and giving them a stare, that's part of it, part of the game. You're the bully in the fight. You make the play. You dictate what you want to do. And if Georgia would have gotten the ball back after going up 48-23, 49-23, whatever it was, and they would have run the football down LSU's throat and scored another touchdown, you would not have heard a word from me. That's football. LSU's got shoulder pads on. LSU's got helmets on. It's your job to stop them. That's how I would feel about that. However, you don't have to go for 2. You can kick the extra point. He went for 2, not because of what the card said. They asked him about it in the postgame. He said, that's just what the card said. Screw the card. He did it to score 50. And again, you're the bully in the fight, so you can do whatever you want to do. And LSU was defenseless. They weren't able to stop it. They had a defense. They weren't defenseless. They didn't stop it because Georgia is bigger and badder and meaner and tougher and better. But that going for 2, and maybe Brian Kelly doesn't give a rip. Maybe nobody in purple and gold gives a rip over in the facility. I did. And so I'm telling you, when you do that, you're not doing that to Vanderbilt or South Carolina. You're doing that to a guy who's going to grow up and be able to punch back. I would say the odds are that Kirby Smart and Brian Kelly will see each other again in Atlanta. Maybe not next year or the next year. I don't get the sense neither one of those guys is going to be out of their current job very quickly. I think they'll probably see each other again. And at that point, LSU will be grown up and will be able to punch back. And look, Georgia doesn't care about LSU right now. They're the top dog. You're mad? Do something about it. That would be their attitude. I'm aware of that. And they certainly don't give it what I have to say. But I'm just saying that should matter to the crew over there. That 2-point conversion was Bush League. It was Bush League in every sense of the word. And that's what the card said, ain't flying with me. You want to score another touchdown because we've got 10 minutes to go, you run the football, that's fine. That's football. You can't just sit there and take a knee or fall down in the backfield. You got to play. Going for 2 was Bush League. There's no 2 ways about it. And if I was Brian Kelly, I would take notice of that. And when you see him again, just let the guys know, hey, this is what they think. They think they've got their hand on your head, they're patting you on the head, holding you away. Trust me. The next LSU team that shows up in Atlanta is going to be a little bit better equipped than that one. That's just my thought. So we'll go to the Citizens Bank poll question of the day. It said, did Georgia going for 2 to get to 50 points irritate you as an LSU fan, yes or no? Curious to see if people agree with me. Some people may say, I don't care. We got our butts kicked. What does it matter? Let's see what you think in the Bayou 4 chat. Y'all let me know what you think. Because I just thought it was totally Bush League. Just my thoughts. Opening hour here brought to you by The Shed Barbecue. We just talked LSU Georgia for an entire hour here, and if you missed it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. You can click my name. It's all right there on the website. You can also go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we're always streaming on YouTube and on demand on YouTube each and every day. So if you missed any of what we did in the first hour, you can always catch that stuff on demand. Talked quarterbacks, talked defense, talked state of the program, talked going for two, talked special teams, talked all that stuff. In the second hour, we're going to talk a little bit Joe Burrow as his Bengals are cooking. My college football playoff thoughts, LSU basketball, Saints, Bucs, crazy stuff in the transfer portal, quarterbacks, all that kind of jazz is coming up. Come back with us on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Is Sports Center. I'm Kevin Winter. Baseball's winter meetings are underway. The way it's worked out so far, no, maybe more like, yeah, bring it up. Justin Verlander and the New York Mets, 2 years, $86 million contract. Breaking news in from ESPN's Kylie McDaniel, the Philadelphia Phillies, and Trey Turner, the shortstop, are in agreement on an 11-year deal worth $300 million. Full no trade clause. Remember, they've already got Bryce Harper under a lengthy contract. Baker Mayfield released today by the Carolina Panthers. Question is, where is he going to go? Monday Night Football tonight. Tampa Bay will take on the New Orleans Saints. Tampa sitting in 5-6. New Orleans a game back in the division. Bucs, however, still lead the division. At the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Throw it. Brazil 4-0 over South Korea. Game's gone to the half. Croatia moves on via penalty kicks earlier today.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
1, 2, 3.
Hunt and Hill. Tom Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2 here on a Monday. A lot to get to before 3 o'clock when we hand things off to Matt Moscona for after further review. I usually don't go too deep into the NFL on a Monday because we got a lot to talk about with LSU and the SEC, but the SEC quietening things down. We'll get into the bowl slate tomorrow, I think. I did want to start hour 2 here talking about the Bengals and what they are becoming at this point, because the team that we saw last year made a storybook run with a great quarterback playing great football. He was an absolute piñata in that playoff game against Tennessee, and they found a way to get it done. And they fell behind 2 scores in Arrowhead and found a way to get it done and get to the Super Bowl. They couldn't get by Aaron Donald. But it was kind of a Cinderella run, and you wonder, is this going to be, like the Falcons team that got there and then was never heard from again? Was it going to be like the Panthers team that got there and was never to be heard from again? The Jaguars were a quarter away from getting to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and the Patriots clipped them. Was it going to be like that? And the Bengals are kind of answering that question right now behind Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And the answer is they're here to stay. They started the year 0-2. Since then, they're 8-2. And the Chiefs can't get over the hump. Now, this was in Cincinnati, and it was a game that was decided very late. It's not like the Bengals have totally taken power and nobody can handle them. But they've beaten them 3 in a row, including the playoffs. And I heard a stat earlier today that the Chiefs are 20-2 against everybody else over that span and 0-3 against Cincinnati. And the Bengals reinvested in that line. They've got 4 new starters. One's Lael Collins. And it didn't look so good the first couple of weeks. Jonah Williams getting toasted. They can't block the Cowboys. It just looks awful. They let one get away against Pittsburgh. TJ Watt's all over the place. And you're going, God, they just can't keep him upright. Not anymore. They're blocking now. I've watched the last 2 weeks of the Bengals, and when Joe takes a snap, he's got some time. And Higgins is going to work, and Chase is back, and he's going to work. And now they found something with P. Ryan in the running game until Mixon gets back and is fully healthy. They're well-oiled on offense. And they needed a big play, getting that fumble and stripping the ball from the Chiefs ball carrier and turning it around when they were down 4 and the Chiefs were driving. But they got that play, and they went down and made it. And then we've seen the Joe Burrow that we all know and that it's so fun to watch at this point in the NFL. A guy that's totally unflappable, that understands the moment, that slows the game down and makes the right play. And he drove him right down the field time after time after time. And look, it's not like this as much in college because the teams just aren't as efficient and can't do the things that NFL teams can do. But if you watch in the NFL on Sunday, there are so many games where there are like 3 scores in the last 4 minutes of the game because teams get in these 2-minute offenses and they got Pro Bowl quarterbacks and the field is spread and they just dink and dunk it right down the field. And whether it's kicking a 50-something yard field goal or actually going down and get a touchdown, there is a lot of back and forth that goes on at the end of NFL games, far more so than colleges who are just not that efficient at running the 2-minute offense, even though they can stop the clock with a first down. But the Bengals were in a situation where they had a choice to make. The Chiefs had run out of timeouts. They were just under 2 minutes. Were they going to run the football and run the clock and then try to kick a field goal to go up 6 and then give Mahomes the ball back with 40 seconds left or something? Or were they going to just go try to win it? And they realized they've got a guy at quarterback where the correct decision is almost always go win it. And they've got a third down, and Kansas City gets some pressure off the right side of Cincinnati's offensive line, and Burrow absolutely threads the needle on a third down to Boyd to finish it. It was an incredible throw. Under pressure, tight window, middle of the field, third down, gotta have it. He puts it right on the money, and the Bengals win. And if you start listening to some of the national shows, which I'm looking up at our ESPN feed right now, and you've got Herm Edwards, and they're talking about Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And if you listen to Colin Cowherd on Fox, if you listen to the guys on Get Up with Orlovsky, who was breaking down some Bengals tape today, everybody's pretty much in consensus now that Joe is in that category. He's in Mahomes' category. He's in Allen's category. He's in, if you want to put Rodgers in that category, even though the Packers are terrible, I guess that day's kind of done. But there is not a quarterback in the NFL that I think that you could get a panel to consensus take over Joe Burrow. You never really know when you draft a guy. We saw it in college. Plenty of guys have been really good in college. But it feels like this is the start of something really special in Cincinnati that they've never seen before. And you hope they can get it done while he's still on this rookie contract. Because then once you start paying that quarterback a lot, you got to start trimming fat other places. But it's been an organization that has been so bad for so long. Bad ownership, bad coaches, bad quarterback play. And then in some instances, mediocre coaches, mediocre quarterback play. I don't think Marv Lewis did a bad job in Cincinnati. I think he probably did a pretty good job. I don't think Carson Palmer or Andy Dalton did a bad job. I think they did a pretty good job. But that's as high as they could climb. So they could make the playoffs here and there, but they weren't in the class of the Patriots or the Colts. They weren't in the class of the Ravens or the Steelers. They were the also-ran that got in. This version with this quarterback can become a bully. And it's cool. I never in a million years, honestly, I did not believe, not to use hyperbole, million years, I did not believe I had room to pull for another team. And let's be very clear. I put 4% of my LSU and Cubs energy into the Bengals. But I do make a point to watch them, and I do want them to win, and I fist bump when they do it. I don't care. I couldn't tell you one thing Cam Thomas has done for Brooklyn. I don't know what's going on over there. Guys, I don't care about the Phillies. Aaron Nola's there. I don't care about the Astros. Alex Bregman's there. This, for some reason, and it's because there's a hole in my sports fandom there, because I'm not a big Saints guy, that the Bengals could occupy. And it just feels like this could be pretty fun on my Sundays moving forward. It's almost like it's an all upside, no downside. I wasn't crestfallen when the Bengals lost the Super Bowl last year. I was bummed. I wish they would have won, but I didn't spend any more time really thinking about it. The Cubs get eliminated from the playoffs. I got a pit in my stomach for a week. LSU can't get out of a regional in Hattiesburg. I'm inconsolable. I'm pathetic. I don't have any of that emotion with Cincinnati. It's just all right, let's go. Nice win. And Kansas City's really good. And the Bengals just flat beat them late in the game. And they're cooking now. Started 0-2. Now you're 9-4, and Baltimore has Lamar Jackson go down. You got a chance to do something special here. Maybe get to home field. If you can win out, maybe only drop one more. What does Buffalo do? We'll see. But Burrow is commanding the respect of Mahomes and Allen now on national talk shows. It's not me talking, not blind Homer Hunt sitting here telling you that Joe Burrow is good. We've known that. Everybody else is on board now, and it's really cool. And I hope that this is the start of like a 10, 12-year really fun run is paying attention to the Bengals on Sunday for me. You've got another team to worry about. They play tonight. Question is, do we have to have the conversation about how close they are to the playoffs? The whole division keeps losing at such a relentless clip that we keep circling back here every week going, yeah, the Saints stink, but look at the standings. Yeah, they're all hurt, but look at the standings. Yeah, they lost again, but look at the standings. Well, they got to play again tonight. Kind of an elimination game. You lose this one to the Bucs, you lose that tiebreaker, and they're way ahead of you. They would go to 6-6, you'd go to 4-9. So at that point, you could put the horse down. But I think tonight you probably got to, get that pizza ordered, pop the top on something, and try to grind your way through it. We'll talk about that as well as some college football playoff next. Right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford, you can check out that inventory, BayouFord.com. Whether you're looking for the Mustang, you like that muscle car, whether you got the Explorer, maybe you need something bigger, the Expedition. My dad's had an Expedition since he picked me up at camp in 5th grade. Car's 20-something years old, still drives it. Good product there, that Ford Expedition. Maybe you're in the market for a truck, F-150, F-250. Go to the website, BayouFord.com, and check out their inventory. They may have exactly what you want. If they do, they've got a great tab there. You can look at a video, see all the Carfax, see the pricing, all the great deals you can score. They don't have what you want, whether it's a color, interior. Hey, they can customize a vehicle for you. Have it turned around in 60 to 90 days. They got 6 full-time drivers on staff. They will have your car come in when it's customized and ready to roll. They'll drive it right to your front door. How easy is that? Check out the inventory. It updates daily on the website. Bayou Ford. It's at BayouFord.com. Bayou Ford. They're going to do right by you.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show, country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7, The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Got a text this morning, part of a group text from a buddy that said, God, I'm so mad the Saints are on primetime tonight. Sick of watching these losers. That was a direct quote from my buddy. I think there's a lot of Saints fans that are just so frustrated by the way this team has played, and even more frustrated by the fact that they have to keep investing emotional capital because the teams in the division keep losing. One of the biggest Saints fans I know, I was at lunch with him yesterday. It's like, God, just maybe they'll lose tomorrow and put me out of my misery. But at this point, it would be negligent of me to sit here and not talk about the game. I mean, you're aware of the situation. I know you are. That if they win this game, all of a sudden you look up and we're in the middle of December, and the Saints are half a game out. If the Saints win tonight, you're 5-8. Carolina's 4-8. Atlanta's 5-8. And the Bucs would be 5-7. You'd be half a game behind them. And I've said what I think. I think the Saints will lose tonight. I think the Saints will lose a few times moving forward. That's the way I feel about it. But it doesn't change the math. The math is the math. And you have to talk about it. It reminds me of my college career, where as long as I was in a class where there was a correct answer, like math and economics, finance, all that kind of stuff, I was terrible. I had to get into journalism where there's no right answer. You just present your work. And then they say how good it is or bad it is. That's where I thrived. Kind of BS your way through it, quite frankly. And so that's kind of where we sit here. The math tells you you've got to pay attention. Ian Rappaport has tweeted out that the Bucs are expected to get Akeem Hicks and Vita Vea back tonight against the Saints. That's a pretty huge boon for them. I don't have an update on Marshawn Lattimore and what he is going to be like tonight, if he's going to give it a go. If he's not, we know if you follow the Saints even a little bit through this channel, you understand how big a force that Marshawn Lattimore is in this game specifically. He has just absolutely owned Mike Evans for their entire careers. And so you look back at this game in the Dome in week 2, I was there. And Mike Evans had 3 catches for 61 yards, had the big 41-yarder late, but not a huge factor. The Saints defense played really good in this game. They held Brady to 18 of 34 for 190 yards. They sacked him. Fournette ran for 2.7 yards per carry. I mean, this was a 3-3 game entering the fourth quarter. And then Jameis did what you were afraid of Jameis doing and threw 3 interceptions. One got returned for a touchdown. But the Saints' offensive line was really poor in that game. Jameis was running for his life. He got sacked 6 times. They were everywhere. And now closer to full strength, that's a concern you have tonight for the black and gold. Are they able to keep Andy Dalton upright? Because they didn't do it to Jameis back in September. But you feel like the Saints defense should be able to contain Tom. They've done it every single time they've played. This Bucs offensive line is not good. They run the ball about as poorly as anybody in the NFL. It would lend itself to be a lower scoring game. The Bucs are coming off a loss at the Browns where they scored 17 points. Dennis Allen's seen this team. Hopefully Marshawn's back and you can keep it as a low-scoring game. But I don't think there's many people in the city of New Orleans, in the state of Louisiana, that are really fired up to watch this game. I was listening to Hanny's show earlier, and he was like, I'm just having a hard time getting worked up to watch this game. Now, my guy Mario down the hall, I think he'll probably be fired up to watch it. Mario loves him some black and gold. My guy Paul O'Neill, he might be fired up to watch this one. But I've said that Andy Dalton is going to play 30% of the time, he's going to play a really good football game. Because he's capable of doing that. He understands defenses. He's still got enough arm to make the throws over in the intermediate stuff. And he's had a couple of games where it's looked pretty good. Now he's had a couple of games where it's looked awful. Turning the football over against Arizona. Can't get anything going against Pittsburgh. I mean, last week, whatever that was against the 49ers. But, you know, they scored 27 points against the Rams. They scored 24 against the Raiders and looked pretty good moving the football. They moved the ball in Cincinnati and scored 26 points in that game. There's some hope there. I just don't know that it's a lot. So we'll be locked in on it. If the Saints lose tonight, as I said in the last segment, you can put the horse down. Hang the jersey up. See you next year. That's it. If the Saints win tonight, you got to get amped up for next week against the Falcons because you're right back in the thick of it. I cannot believe we're having this conversation in December with this team. But this division stinks on ice, and they keep losing. Every single week I look up. Atlanta lost again. Tampa lost to the Browns. It's just, again, the schedule's not favorable for New Orleans. You're against Atlanta, then you go play Cleveland with Deshaun on the road. You're at Philly, they're the best team in the league, and then you're home against the Panthers. So, I'm not picking the Saints tonight. I think Tampa will win the football game. But the Saints have played them well, you know it, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it came down to a fourth quarter game and maybe the Saints make a play here or there. They're getting a little healthier. That's your only saving grace. Man, is this division brutal. So Saints and Bucs tonight, Monday Night Football from the Big Sombrero over there in Tampa, Florida. I want to remind you about our 15K holidays. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are in the spirit to rock your holidays with $15,000 in cash. It's our 15K holidays. Head to 1045ESPN.com and register to win a $15,000 national cash prize or $1,500 in local cash prize. The 15K holiday is powered by Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. And 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge excited to see pro hockey coming to the Raising Cane's River Center this winter. Tickets start at just $10 for the games at Ticketmaster.com or the Raising Cane's River Center box office. You can keep listening for your chance to win some from us and sign up to win at 1045ESPN.com. Come back. Revert things back to college football, the weekend that was the college football playoff, and some updates on the transfer portal. There are quarterbacks flying everywhere. We'll talk about that next on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
One of the things I love about betting on the NFL is that I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's cool about the FanDuel Sportsbook, you can combine those props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. Perfect for tonight's game with the black and gold playing Tampa. You know Tom doesn't handle the Saints. Bet the over or the under on his passing yards. Parlay that with the Saints on the money line, plus 154. They've got some odds boosts on Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Chris Godwin to combine for 125 receiving yards and 1+ rushing or receiving touchdown. All that so easy to use. You can live bet during the game, and when you win, you get paid fast. There's no feeling quite like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock your bet in today on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up today with the promo code 1045ESPN for your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued, non-withdrawable free bet that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who knows a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of,
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you were listening back in the first hour, appreciate that, and you'll be caught up to speed here. If you missed it, You can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Anywhere you get your audio, you can find it on demand. But I did talk about LSU's quarterback situation in hour number 1 and how I thought they were in a pretty good spot, but that you could lose Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier in the next week in this day and age in college football. Don't believe me? Well, it happened last year. Max Johnson left. And the transfer portal has been wild today, specifically from a quarterback perspective. Just looking on Twitter, and Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State is entering the transfer portal. He's only been playing college football for 413 years, but he's got a year left of football to play. So he's going to enter the transfer portal. Devin Leary at NC State in his career has thrown for 6,800 yards and 62 touchdowns. He's in the transfer portal. Graham Mertz has started 32 straight for Wisconsin. He's entering the transfer portal. Keaton Slovis, who started games for Southern Cal and Pittsburgh, has entered the transfer portal. You know the name Hudson Card from Texas. DJ Uiagalelei. There are 6 ACC starting quarterbacks heading out in the portal. So this is the way college football is going to work now. You're just going to have to go into the transfer portal and supplement your quarterback position because you may have a returning starter. He may or may not decide to come. But if he leaves, you got to go get somebody. And if you got a guy that is a starter and you got guys behind him, they're probably going to leave. So it's just free agency. I'm sitting here watching the winter meetings in baseball, and money's flying all over the place. Trey Turner to the Phillies and Justin Verlander to the Mets, and people are throwing money around all over the place. This is the same type of deal in college football. It's just quarterbacks flying everywhere. Got Notre Dame starting quarterback hitting the transfer portal. It's a free-for-all out there. So that'll be something that we will very closely monitor over the next couple of weeks. The portal's open until, I think, January 20th or so. It's close to my birthday. My birthday's the 21st, so it's somewhere in there. I remember thinking that when I saw the date. But you've got a month and a half to sift through this thing. And it is a lot to deal with. I did not think the College Football Playoff Committee had a lot to deal with. I thought that it was pretty cut and dried for them, and just about everybody had the same thoughts. You know, I don't mean to offend anyone when I say this. It's just a thought that I have, and PR to me at times is, okay, how can we make these dumb people believe what we think? That's what PR is sometimes. How dumb did Nick Saban think that we were and the College Football Selection Committee was? Using point spreads? Talking about losing? Nobody was going to buy that. And I'm curious if it was somebody in Alabama football with PR that said, yeah, you need to go do this. If Saban felt like he could wield his sword and be the most powerful guy in college football and get the masses on his side. Or if he thought, well, my players just need to see me fight for them. I don't know why he did it. But he certainly could not have believed that he was going to make any appreciable impact on the college football playoff selection. He couldn't have. 100% of the people on Twitter said, this is stupid. What are you talking about? Everyone. Fans, national media, anyone. was like, what? Point spreads, Vegas? I mean, it was just, why was he doing that? It wasn't going to work. It didn't work. Bama's headed to the Sugar Bowl. But I thought one thing that I will definitely take away from this weekend and the selections that happened are that conference championship week is to boost your resume, not lose it. I think if LSU beats A&M in Georgia, they're in over Ohio State. Now, we'll never know because they both lost on the same day, so they both tumbled. But I think if LSU has 2 losses, they're in over Ohio State. I think that the conference championship weekend could have enhanced their resume to that point. By the same token, TCU playing when Ohio State and Bama were sitting at home did not hurt them. They didn't even drop a spot. So now your matchups are set up. You've got Georgia and Ohio State. You got TCU and Michigan. And the news just came across the wire that Jackson Smith-Njigba is opting out of the playoff, and he's going to prepare for the NFL draft. And you hear that and you say, oh, my God, it finally happened. No, he's hurt. But some of the headlines have been very deceiving. I wasn't aware of the significance of his injury, where he was in his rehab, and I just saw a headline that said, Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State, not playing in the playoff. I said, it finally happened. We've lost even the playoff as a reason to stick around and play football. But he's hurt, not going to risk it, and can't. Doctors said it's not a good idea. So those are your playoffs. We'll certainly talk about those as the month progresses, but I just didn't think it was that difficult a call to make. You could make an argument for dropping TCU and moving Ohio State up. I thought they did a good job of leaving them right where they were. I think the Michigan-Ohio State playoff game would be incredibly juicy. It would be, and maybe we get it in the national championship game, although that's not where the odds would lay. But that's my thoughts on college football. I do want to give some thoughts on LSU basketball as they took the hardwood on Friday and played a pretty poor UT Arlington team, and quite frankly, were lucky to get out alive. They once again, the same way they trailed Wofford late in the game, they trailed UT Arlington late in the game, and they've made some winning plays in getting down late in the game to win those games. So they should be applauded for doing the things necessary to win the game late. Adam Miller hit another huge clutch three, and you won the game. But UT Arlington's not good, and LSU was unable to deliver a knockout punch to them. LSU in the game, 21 of 51 from the floor, so not a great percentage there. They did shoot it fairly well from three, 7 of 18. You had KJ Williams come up and make 2 huge threes. Adam Miller had the huge one late. And Wani knocked one in on the first possession of the game for LSU's first scoring. But this is a team that is severely limited on the offensive side, and that's going to be a real problem when SEC play starts here coming up. They don't play again until Saturday. It's finals week this week. They'll play Wake Forest in Atlanta on Saturday. But they're very limited on offense. And Wani Wilkinson has one thing he can do on offense. He can stand in the corner and shoot threes. Jalen Reed doesn't really help you on offense. He took 3 shots against UT Arlington. Juice Hill is not a great shooter and scorer. He can drive, he can dish a little bit, he can finish at the rim pretty well, but he's a one-dimensional player, and that's off the bounce. Trey Hannibal is a one-dimensional player, and that's off the bounce. He can't shoot. He's got to drive to the rim. He's got one dimension there. Derek Fountain is okay. Kendall Coleman is okay. Cam Hayes is getting more minutes. He played 17 minutes in the game. Tyrell Ward did get out there for 4 minutes, which is fairly encouraging. He only took 1 shot. He's not involved. He can't help you offensively to this point, or the games he's come in, he doesn't do it. So really, your entire offense is Adam Miller creating and shooting, and KJ Williams making some threes and scoring some around the basket. But to score 63 points against UT Arlington is disappointing, and they're going to have to get massive amounts of production from Williams and Miller because that's really all they got. They defend pretty well. They held UT Arlington to 59%. They, again, had a team shoot poorly against them from 3, 5 of 19. And maybe this game looks a little bit better that instead of 14 of 21 from the free throw line for LSU, if you're 19 for 21 and you have 5 more points tacked on there, you win the game by 9. And that's reasonable. But it's a team right now that is fortunate to have the non-conference schedule that it has, because they're able to get by and win some of these games. And let's be honest, they've only lost 1 game to this point, and they kind of got screwed in that game because they got a bucket at the buzzer pulled off because the guy didn't hit the button on the clock at the right time. But you can watch this team, and they've just got some one-dimensional offensive players, not enough options to get buckets, and when you start playing against good defensive teams, it's going to be even harder to score, and you're not going to be able to hold them to 59 points more often than not. That's just going to be the case here with this LSU basketball team. I think Matt McMahon's a good coach. I think that they will improve with time. But right now, it's a tough watch. And we'll see. They do a lot of studying this week. They've got finals, and they've got to hit the hardwood on Saturday in Atlanta, and maybe they play a better game. And look, they had a big lead on Kansas State and seemed to be turning the corner a little bit and then kind of let it get away. And so there is some talent, but they're not what I thought they were. when he put this team together, and I looked at it on paper, I said, okay, that's a team that looks like an 8-8 conference team to me, or 18 games. Sorry, 8-10, 9-9 conference team, middle of the pack, maybe 6th, 7th, 8th. Right now, to me, they look closer to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. A&M's terrible. Georgia's not good. South Carolina's not good. Vanderbilt's not good. There are some teams in the league that aren't great, and I think LSU will win some conference games. But right now, they are far from an elite SEC basketball team. I can promise you that. They've got some significant issues, and I think most of them on the offensive end. I thought maybe Mwani could progress. I thought KJ Williams might be a guy they could throw it to on the block and truly dictate to the defense what they wanted to do. He hasn't necessarily been that. Jalen Reed, big 4-star recruit, 6'10", maybe he can help you offensively. He hasn't to this point. I thought that the Tyrell Ward, the 5-star, would be a 10 to 11 point guy every single night. He rarely plays, and when he does, he doesn't shoot. That's not great. Cam Hayes, volume guy, came out there 0 of 2 from 3 in his 17 minutes. But the one bright spot has been Miller. And I will say this. I a little bit undershot how talented a scorer he was. He was on such a good team at Illinois that he was not asked to go get 18 points. He was asked to be the freshman who was a starter, who took some open shots when they were there, and deferred to some of the older players on a team that was top 5 in the country almost all year. So I'm looking at this going, okay, well, he only averaged 8 points a game. He shot a nice percentage from 3. It wasn't like dead eye. So when LSU last year is in the doldrums offensively because you lose your point guard in Xavier Pinson and he's out, Gaines has to run the show and he can't really shoot, and you got a freshman playing the 2-guard spot, and you're not getting much offensively from your bigs. Like, okay, they're tough to watch on offense, but I don't think Miller would solve everything. He wouldn't have solved everything, but he'd have been a big help. The guy that is shooting the ball the way he is, that can score the way that he can score, would have been a bigger help than I was letting on last year. And so he's going to have to carry a massive amount of the scoring load. It's one of those deals where I look at this and I go, man, you took 8 shots in that game in 37 minutes. I'm going to need you to take 16 shots. I need you to double that. You're the best we got. I'd rather you put up that many shots than try to force Mwani to do something off the dribble or force Jalen Reed to go down to the block and be something he hasn't been for a month, the first month of his college career. So they win again, and that's good. And they get some time to practice this week with exams, and that's good. But right now, if you haven't watched this LSU basketball team because they haven't played teams you've heard of, you have to go work to stream it or whatever, it's been not great to this point. And I think improvement's realistic, but they're not quite what I thought they were. But that's my expectation. You may have had a totally different one. Matt McMahon may have had a totally different one. We'll see as they move forward here. I want to remind you, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is hitting the road. Oh, no, don't want to remind you about that because they hit the road last week. But I will tell you about Drop Biscuit. Please check out dropbiscuit.com and browse our growing library. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, or whatever Southern-flavored audio biscuit you may fancy. That is dropbiscuit.com. We'll come back and close out this Monday edition on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Nearly half of children in foster care drop out of school. But you can rewrite that story. Change a child's story. Become a volunteer today.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7, The Tiger.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We'll play some Take It or Leave It here in a second, but I got to tell you, we know that bowl games have taken a little bit of a back seat over the years with transfer portal and guys opting out and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you one bowl that's going to be pretty interesting. That is the Fenway Bowl. You don't know what the Fenway Bowl is, that's fine because there's a million of them, and they've never played it before. The first Fenway Bowl ever got canceled for COVID. The second Fenway Bowl ever got canceled for COVID. They're playing this one, and I'll tell you why it's interesting. The two teams in the Fenway Bowl are Cincinnati and Louisville. Okay, well, who cares about Cincinnati and Louisville? Well, Scott Satterfield this morning decided that he was going to leave Louisville to be the head coach at Cincinnati. So he's leaving one team and going to the next. And oh, by the way, because they manufacture these bowl games in stadiums they shouldn't be in, Fenway Park only has room for one sideline. So they're going to share a sideline. Two teams, coached by one guy who has claimed at his introductory press conference today he is, quote-unquote, out of bowl prep. You think Scott Satterfield could do a pretty good job telling Cincinnati players how Louisville's going to play? I think that would be pretty good. Not that often that the head coach leaves for the opponent. So the Fenway Bowl, can't miss it. By the way, a little bit of an aside on this that may affect LSU. That opens the Louisville job. Jeff Brom is an Louisville alum. He turned that job down once. Does he have any interest in going back to his alma mater this time from Purdue? Purdue is LSU's opponent in the Citrus Bowl. So that's connecting dots that don't need to be connected right now. But just for the record, it's possible that Louisville could target Brom, that he would leave, and maybe LSU's opponent in the Citrus Bowl doesn't have his head coach. We'll just have to see. That hasn't happened. But that Fenway Bowl is pretty interesting at this point, considering that the coach for one team left for another. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It, Mr. Casey.
All right, starting over on Twitter, a video surfaced of Steph Curry making 5 straight 85-foot full court shots. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving this. Everyone's going nuts on Twitter, saying it's not Photoshop, it's not fake, it's real, it's real, it's real. I don't think a human can make 5 straight shots from 85 feet. I really don't think that's possible. Like, I guess that's not the way to say it. I think it is possible. I think the likelihood of that happening is as close to zero as you can get. And Steph Curry's an amazing trick shot guy, and I can buy making 33s in a row because that's what he does. That is too far to make 5 in a row without some Photoshop action. I'm leaving that, but I could be wrong.
Baker Mayfield was released by the Panthers today. Baker to the Bay Area 49ers. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. I think there's a chance that is something that's going to happen. I don't think Brock Purdy is the surefire answer here. They got Garoppolo issues with the injury. Purdy made some nice throws yesterday, but at least for an insurance policy, I got to bring in Baker. It's just over $1 million. They got a Super Bowl roster. They need quarterbacks. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I know Christian McCaffrey may not be fired up to have him showing back up after he escaped him, but I think you got to have somebody that's got some functionality as an NFL quarterback, and so I would say I'll take it.
The Mets have signed Justin Verlander to a 2-year, $86 million deal. 40-year-old pitchers making $43 million a year. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it. I like teams spending money. Steve Cohen is the richest owner in the major leagues. He got outbid for Jacob deGrom. He signed with Texas. They got to fill that spot next to Max Scherzer. Atop the rotation, you take Verlander. Yeah, that probably looks a lot better about 6 years ago, but Verlander did just win the Cy Young. He's found the fountain of youth. Maybe it's Kate Upton. I don't know. Who's to say? But he was pretty good last year, and it's a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. Yeah, it's expensive to pay $43 million a year for a 40-year-old pitcher, but Steve Cohen's got all the money in the world. So you pay the luxury tax, you make as good a baseball team as you can. I love the way they've attacked it. I love the way that the Phillies have gone after this. We'll talk about it later. I like the way the Padres have approached things. I love the way the Dodgers have. The Cubs, no, they stink. So we'll go next.
Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson has decided to declare for the NFL draft. Anthony Richardson will be a first-round pick. Take it or leave it.
I'm leaving this. I know the measurables are unbelievable, all of them with Richardson. But that, to me, is not – I mean, he's not even the passer that Jalen Hurts was in college. And it took Jalen Hurts a while to get up to speed. Now he's good. And if you want to wait that out and let it roll, then maybe. And the tools are incredible. But I'm not there yet because it's a weird throwing motion. It was not overly productive at the college level. He's fast and strong and can throw it a long way. I'm going to pass on a first-round pick there for Anthony Richardson.
The NL champion Phillies inked shortstop Trey Turner to an 11-year, $300 million contract today. The Cubs will miss on every shortstop this winter. Take it or leave it.
Oh, God. I'll leave it. I will try to have some blind faith here. There's very little to back up that faith, but they got to do something. Turner got a lot of buzz for a long time for the Cubs. The Phillies went and spent $300 million on it. Correa's out there. Bogarts is out there. Swanson's out there. Do something. What is encouraging is that people are throwing money around at the winter meetings for the first time in like 4 years. You used to have to wait till January for this stuff, and they're starting to make things happen. So kudos to the Phillies. Kudos to the Mets. Kudos to all these teams that are throwing cash around. The Cubs decide that's just not the way they want to approach things. We'd rather lose 90 games and build restaurants around Wrigley. That's what's important to the Ricketts family, apparently. Spend some money. We got to get a shortstop and a pitcher. Carlos Rodon would be nice. All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on a Monday. We opened up the show today with that opening hour brought to you by The Shed. We talked to LSU and Georgia, big picture, program stuff, quarterback stuff, Georgia going for 2, all kinds of stuff in the first hour. Second hour, we opened talking about Joe Burrow, a little bit of Saints preview for the Saints and Bucs, some college football talk, and, of course, Take It or Leave It. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand page, YouTube, and also catch it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Anywhere you find your audio, you can find all of our stuff right there. Let's go to the Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Did Georgia going for 2 to get to 50 irritate you as an LSU fan? 55% say yes, 45% say no. I get both sides of it, but I'm just telling you, I hope somebody in purple and gold over there remembers that for the next time, because I don't think it was the right thing to do. I think it was Bush League. But I talked about that in the first hour. We're here all week, finally. We had a short week with Thanksgiving 2 weeks ago. We had a short week with the Christmas party and travel and Atlanta and all that kind of stuff last week. So full week here from 1 to 3. Jimmy Ott, Game Time, coming to you from 6 to 8 this evening. Matt Moscona about to drive you home on After Further Review from 3 to 6. Have a wonderful Monday. Hopefully the Saints get it done. Either way, we're talking about it tomorrow from 1 to 3 on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
My dad just really enjoyed his life.